Hi, welcome back. Today we're going to take a look at Jetpack and how it makes it easy to build and deploy distributed systems on Kubernetes. We're going to take a look at a Jetpack Python example. Here's the Jetpack Python example that you can grab from github.com/jetpack-io. We've got it pulled up, and so you can see this application where we can enter a bunch of emails and simulate sending those. Let's pull that up in VS Code. So let's take a look at the code. Here's the API endpoint where we choose to send emails. In our naive example, we might choose to just loop through them, but if any of them error, we're stuck. We can't resume the loop. So we'll send them asynchronously, gathering the promises and waiting for all the promises to finish. We'll do a try and except to make sure that any exceptions that happen inside send brochure don't leak into our outer loop. So let's take a look at send brochure. Here in the mail merge process, maybe we're watermarking each page of the PDF, or putting the customer's details inside the subject and body. And then we'll send the message. Now we're not actually sending the message, we're just simulating an SMTP server. But we've built in some errors. Maybe it takes a long time to mail merge particularly large PDFs, or maybe the SMTP server is going to throw an exception sometimes. Those exceptions will get caught here by our main.py, and we'll be able to show those results back in the service. So let's start up this process. Here in readme.md, we can see the process of getting started. We've already downloaded the Jetpack SDK. We've already logged in previously as well, so we're ready to do Jetpack Dev. Jetpack Dev will stream the logs from our services from the Jetpack free trial cluster into our console. We can get started with the Jetpack SDK using Jetpack Dev, and it will use our trial cluster for free. We can see that it builds our image locally and pushes it up to the Jetpack trial cluster, and finally starts our service up on Jetpack. Now, because we've started it here inside Jetpack's trial cluster, we automatically get a public address for our website, and we've proxied the content from our local machine. Let's fire up the app and take it for a spin. So we want to send this email, simulate sending this email to these 4 email addresses. Let's simulate that process and wait for those jobs to finish asynchronously. Now that those jobs are done, we can see that some succeeded and some failed. Let's take a look inside Kubernetes and see how those jobs did. We can see how we've got stack traces for those jobs that have failed, and we have streaming logs for those that have succeeded as well. kubectl get jobs, and we can see the list of jobs. Now in this case, this one failed. Let's take a look at that job and see more details about it. We can see here that that job failed, but if we take a look at a different job, we'll see that that job succeeded. Yep, this job succeeded. Now what's interesting about this process is that this was one application, but it split it into many jobs. Now we can see right here, we have this JetRoutine attribute that identifies to our Python SDK that this should separate into many simultaneous jobs. So automatically, by deploying this into Kubernetes, it will get run as Kubernetes jobs, not as calls into other portions of our application. Jetpack is a really elegant way for building and deploying systems onto Kubernetes. You can get started today at jetpack.io.